Before we discuss the third design, using inheritance for the student management system problem, I would like to speak about a minor topic, yet important. It's about the visibility of attributes and methods in Java, especially how you can declare project level visibility and how you can declare package level visibility, or how you can declare only class level visibility. And there's another notion about subclasses. That's why we want to talk about before we talk about inheritance. Okay, let's now assume the following layout for the projects, right? Let's say we have a project called collection of stuffs. That's the projects. And we got three packages. We got animal, we got furniture, we got shape. In the animal package, we got cat and dog, the classes. Under furniture package, we got chair and desk. Under shape package, we got circle and square, right? Easy setup. And accordingly, you can also see from the Eclipse project I made available to you, we actually got 6 different projects over here. But each one of them is actually meant to illustrate the points I made on the slides. I'll try to show you briefly the correspondence between the two, between the slides and the Eclipse project. However, I'll rely on you to study the complete details and comments I made in the Eclipse projects. If you got any doubts or any typos, hopefully not, but if you really found anything suspicious, please let me know. Okay, let's now go over one by one. And then I'll make a visual summary at the end as well. Okay, but we'll do that a little bit later. Let me just switch the order, so just to avoid distraction. Okay, good. Okay, so let's now, visibility of classes. Just before we talk about how you can declare attributes and methods, let's talk about classes. Only one modifier for declaring visibility of classes, only public. You cannot actually declare a class to be private. If you simply try private class to start your class file, the Java file, it's going to be a compilation error. You can try that, but it definitely wouldn't work. So you only got two choices, either to have a class being public or have it not being public. You only got two choices. But what do they really mean? Let's take a look. User private is simply forbidden. Okay, you might be wondering, what about inner classes? Inner classes is some concept which we don't discuss in this lecture. You might actually explore that yourself, but we just wouldn't discuss the notion about inner classes. You will simply break our assumption that every class file, every Java file contains only a single class. It will make things just so much easier and clearer. Okay, so if you try a private class, chair, for example, is not allowed. Okay. And visibility of a class may be declared using a modifier public, indicating that it is accessible across basically all the classes within its package. And okay, let's see. We got two choices over here. Let me say it again. We got two choices. Either you simply say class chair over here. In that case, this class is visible inside its residing package. On the other hand, if you actually want to say, I want the class to be visible across all the packages in my projects, in that case, you will need to use a public modifier like this. Okay, that's the difference. Let's now see the Eclipse project to show to you. If you just go for 1.1 and 1.2, you will see the notion. Okay, let's see 1.1 first. And always we use the chair class under the furniture package to illustrate. So now if you go to the chair class over here, you can see I didn't put any public, no modifier. So that means it's so-called a package level visibility. So inside the package furniture, you can see furniture is where the chair class resides. We call it the residing package. So chair, given that it's a package level visibility, so you can definitely refer to the chair class inside the desk, which is in the same package. So you can see inside the desk, you can actually use the chair. Not only that you can use it, you can also import it. You don't need to import it. It's automatically available to you. Okay. On the other hand, if you look at other package outside the residing package for chair, for example, let's say the shape class, shape package. Let's say we choose a square, and if you try to import, let's say furniture.chair, given that chair was not declared as public, you cannot do it, right? So that's what it means when you only got, let's say, class chair. That's a consequence, right, over here. On the other hand, let's see example 1.2. And that one there, we simply say for the chair class, we declare that to be public. So that means not only that it will be visible automatically without the import, you can definitely refer to the chair class inside the desk. You can try to write some code to actually create some chair objects and etc. You can try that. And also under different package, let's say square, you can see here we can definitely import the chair from the furniture package, and also we can use it. So that's not a problem. So that's the difference between package level versus project level visibility for the class. Okay. All right. Hopefully that so far it's very straightforward. And let me just give you more diagram to show to you. In the case where you simply say chair is simply without any modifier, so it's only visible inside its residing package, as I illustrated. Otherwise, if you declare the chair to be public, that means it's visible within all the packages in the project that we are talking about. Right? That's about classes. Let's now move on to the more important construct that we want to discuss, attributes and methods, and they will be handled in a consistent way. So two modifiers for declaring visibility of attributes and methods. So we got public and private. That means we got three options, three choices to make. Either we got public, or we got private, or we got no modifier, right? We got three possibilities. We want to know what the consequence is for each one of them. So visibility of an attribute or method, they will be handled consistently. But I'll give you an example for both. Maybe declare using a modifier, either public or private. Let's consider the three possibilities. The most restrictive way is to declare inside the class the attribute or method to be private. Okay, you simply use private. For example, you can say private integer I, or you can say private some mutator or accessor if you like. Some method. This is basically what I have asked you to do so far, to say every time you got attributes, you must declare that as private. As for the methods, if they are meant to be like a accessor mutator for other classes to use, you definitely should really go for public. But if the methods only meant for helper methods within your internal use, in that case they should be private. That's the principle I would like you to follow. Okay, so that's number one. What about we want if you only declare attribute or class or methods as private, they're only visible within their residing class, the class in which they are declared. Let's go a little bit more relaxing. Across all the classes within its residing package, meaning that we want to make the attributes and methods visible within its own package. Other classes within the same package might still see them. In that case, you simply don't put any modifier, right? In that case, we can say simply say integer I without any modifier. We can say method n without any modifier. So that's so-called package level visibility. Or we can go for the most relaxing or the least restrictive way. In that case, we use the public modifier. So you can say public integer I, or you can say public void method over here, right? So that means not only that all the classes inside the same package can see them, but all the other classes in other packages in the same projects, they can see them as well, right? Hopefully it's quite clear to you. Why don't we look at some Eclipse examples, and then I'm going to show you some visual summary as well. Okay, so for that one, let me just close all of them from earlier. Okay, so you can so the example we're going to show will be 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. 2.4 is actually for subclasses, which we'll get into as well by using protected. Let's go for 2.1. So for 2.1, again, you go under the furniture package and go to the chair class over here. So here we're considering private attributes and private method. And for this attribute and this method, you can definitely still use them inside the same class, in the residing class. That's okay. However, even though in the same package, but if you go to another class, let's say desk, you definitely cannot use any one of them because they're simply private. Let alone classes in the same in other packages. For example, let's say square, you also cannot use from chair the I and also m, the attributes and method. If you simply move your cursor over, it's going to tell you that this method or attribute simply is not visible over here. All right. So the first case is about private over here. Again, let me just remind you, private is only will only make the attribute or method visible inside the resident class, residing class. Okay. Let's now look at the second example. Let's say we want to have package level visibility. Let's look at 2.2. In this case, if we go to chair over here, you see I say integer I without modifier and also void n without modifier. Of course, they're still always they're visible inside the residing class, right? Let me fix the indentation. Control A, Control I. Okay, good. Okay. Anyway, so they're always visible within this the same residing class. What about the class in the same package? Desk, for example, it will be visible, right? Because they are not private, so they are visible automatically. And you can see in the desk, again, you don't need to import it. It's automatically available. And then you can see here for the object C, we can actually use I and also M because they are both declared without any modifier, meaning package level visibility. What about classes outside the residing package? In that case, that's why you see the compilation error. For example, in the square class, it's not in the same package, so that's why you cannot use I and M. Okay, it's very important to see. All right, I'm going to summarize all the rules in at the end. So let's now go over just one by one. Okay, let's look at 2.3. That'll be the least restrictive case. Which case you want to apply is completely up to your need. Let's look at the chair over here. You can see public integer I and also public void M. So that means not only in the same class you can use the attribute and method, but also you can use in different class but in the same package. You can see I'm using M and also I'm using M and I over here, and you can see in a different package in a different class over here, I can also use them because they're public, right? That's a very critical distinction for you to make between class level using private, package level without using any modifier, and also project level using public modifier. Okay, so that's about example for this slide here. And let's look at some visual summary. Let's say if the chair, let's say in the chair class we declare private I and M, the attribute and the method, they're only visible within this particular class. If you try I and M without any modifier, they will be visible inside this package over here, right? If you want to make it the most relaxing, the most visible, you will simply declare it as public, meaning that they are visible by all the classes in your projects. Okay. All right, so let's now talk about the final modifier, which is called protected, and that would be necessary for us to understanding for understanding inheritance. Okay, let's now take a look. We know that this is the principle which we'll talk about. Private attributes are not inherited to subclasses. So think about what we said before in the object class, the equals method and also the toString method will be inherited to any other class because we know every class is automatically a subclass of the object class. But if you only declare methods or attribute as private, they will not be available to the subclasses. That's something I will cover a little bit more, but you should just know, if there's anything you want to be shared by the subclasses, you cannot really declare it as private. That's a principle. And package level attributes and also project level attributes, either no modifier or public, they will be inherited automatically. But for simplicity, for this, for the purpose of the rest of the lecture, I will use just no modifier. It saves some space on my slides just for that purpose. But what if we want to have the following use scenario? Let's say we want the attribute to be visible to the subclasses, either in the same package or outside the current package. Criteria number 1. Criteria number 2, outside the current package, we don't want it to be visible by any other non-subclasses, meaning that it does not extend from the current class. How can we achieve that? The answer is we want to use the keyword protected. You might be a little bit unsure about what I really meant by extend and etc. But for the extend keyword and also inheritance, that's something we will look at in the next part of the module. But I would say for now, just understand the syntactic meaning for the protected and also understand the visual summary. You may just have to revisit this part of the module later. Okay, for protected. And let me give you some visual summary right away. Right? Let's say this: we have our chair class over here. We declare protected I and M. So these are the protected attributes and protected method. So they will be visible or inherited to, number 1, the subclasses over here. The subclass, you can think about bubble chair simply extends chair. As I said, I will explain about extends keyword later in the module. And this bubble chair, the subclass is in the same package. Not only that, let's say I got another class that will also extend the chair class, but it's in a different package. It will still be visible. That's about the subclasses. And another point to make: protected and to some extent, it's also equivalent to like a no modifier, because every other class, for example, desk is not really extending from chair. It's not a subclass, but it can still view the protected attributes and methods, right? However, any other class outside the residing package for the chair, in that case, they cannot view. For example, circle and square, they cannot really view. It's not visible to them. The protected attributes and methods. Okay, recap. Whenever you declare attribute or method as protected, what classes can see them? All the classes in the same package, and also all the other subclasses that might exist in a different package. Okay, that's the summary. Okay, so that's a visual summary here. Let me show you the example on the Eclipse. If you look at example 2.4 over here, okay, let me just close all the earlier classes. Let's take a look. So now let's take a look here. Let's say the chair. You can see the chair class. Now we got protected attributes. We got protected method over here. They will be visible as always inside this particular in the residing class over here, right? That's number one. And then let's look at let's say we got bubble chair. Bubble chair actually extends from chair over here, so that means they will be visible to this subclass over here. And you can see c.I. You can also say c.m. More to that, that's something I didn't really write over here. You can also do, let me just do this one here. You can also do, for example, this.I, and also you can do this.m. That will also compile, right? But this only is allowed for bubble chair being a subclass of chair, because you can, that's something we'll visualize later. You can think about bubble chair in some way. It's a visualization like a box you will draw. It's more like a extension to the box of the chair. So that's why you can also use this keyword to actually get access to it. That's something you will see later in the visualization, but I want to mention to you. Okay, so that's in the same package. What about the desk? Desk is not really a subclass of the chair class, but you can still say c.I and also c.m. But can you say the following? Can you say, for example, this.I and also this.m? You cannot, on the other hand, right? So it's a very important contrast for you to see. You cannot say this because desk has no inheritance relationship with the chair class. On the other hand, bubble chair does have the inheritance relationship with the chair. So that's why you can also use this keyword to say, I want to get access to the inherited attributes. But in this case, let me just make a note over here for you, over here. Since desk does not extend chair, attributes I and method m are not inherited here. Okay, let me just fix the typo. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Let's now take a look. What about outside the residing package over here? Outside the residing package, let's say in the shape over here, let's say circle. I'm simply not using it, so that's why there's no compilation error. Let's say rocking chair. For the rocking chair, you can see it extends the chair class over here, right? So in this case, notice what I'm putting over here. It's actually very important for you to actually see. Okay. So number one, you can see here, if I simply do c.I and also c.m, I'm actually accessing on some context object of chair type. In that case, because chair is actually in a different package over here, even though it's protected, so it's not available. You can think about protected is really just like a no modifier in some way. That means it's only visible within that particular package. So now if I simply use a context object over here, it wouldn't work. What will work is something like this. If I simply say, let's say this.I and also this.m, these will work, right? Even though it's in you can see rocking chair, even though it's in a different package from the furniture, but it will still work. So now you can see, think about attributes I and method m are inherited from chair in another package. So what you really want to clarify by yourself is using this over here, that means I'm simply using the attributes that's inherited from my superclass, even though it's in a different package. On the other hand, if I'm trying to use a context object over here, I'm just having a normal use. In that case, as long as the methods and attributes are not declared as public, I just cannot use them directly. Okay, just distinguish between this use case and this use case. So important. Okay, that's why I want to type them out manually together with you. Okay, finally, let's look at the square over here. You can see for the square, first of all, we cannot use c.i and c.m because the attributes and methods are simply protected in this class. So they're only visible within that residing package. And also, I cannot use this.i, I cannot use this.m because they did not extend from the chair class. So that's why I do not have those attributes and methods inherited to the square class. Okay. All right. So that's finally, I would like to summarize about the visibility quickly. Okay. You will see a table over here, but I would like to just do something on my iPad quickly together with you. Okay. Let's summarize. Let's say in the case of private, let's say I got one private attribute over here, let's say for the chair, W. Okay, so what will be the visibility? For private, it will only be visible inside the chair class, right? That's something easy to see. And let's see another one. Let's see no modifier, let's say just integer x. In that case, it will be visible within all classes in the same package. So it will be the chair class, that's where the attribute was declared, and also all the other classes in the same package. But outside the package, no. Okay, let's see what about protected. Protected is somehow similar to the no modifier. So let's say protected over here, right? So that means it's going to be visible within the residing package over here. Oh, sorry, let me say it again. It's going to be visible within the residing class, and also it's going to be visible to all the subclasses. Subclasses here inside the same package, and also outside the residing package. And also every other class that's not a subclass, but they're in the same package, is also visible over here. Okay. Finally, let's look at the public. For the public, it's obvious it's the most relaxing modifier. In that case, it would be basically every class either inside the same package or outside the same package. Okay, let me just draw a little bit better. Okay, so hopefully that kind of a visual summary can also make you feel better about the rule. It's not that complicated, but you just have to know, especially the difference between protected versus no modifier. Protected apparently just give you one, let you reach out to other subclasses in a different package. Okay, and also you can see the summary table exactly over here. All right. So that's about what I want to discuss with you about the visibility of classes, attributes, and methods. And for the rest of this lecture, for simplicity, we're going to assume that all the relevant parent and child classes, they will be in the same package, meaning that we just need package level visibility. There's no subclass that we need that's in another package, in which case we might need protected, but we don't need that. Okay, so attributes with no modifiers, and also methods with no modifiers, so we can type less on the slides. All right, let's now talk about the third design formally.